Why the death penalty, also known as capital punishment, should be abolished. An argument by Christina L. 105 countries in the world have abolished the death penalty. 28 countries still allow capital punishment, including Iraq, Iran, North Korea, and 31 of the United States of America. There were 3,000 people on death row as of 2016 in the US alone. Today, I will answer 5 main questions relating to why we need to get rid of capital punishment. What if these people are innocent? Does it cost more to have them there longer? Does it really deter crime? What punishment is worse than death? And is it a humane way to die? One of the most common arguments against the death penalty is that it's irreversible. In the United States alone, we have 2.2 million people incarcerated. That's 25% of the world's prison population. The rate at which we are imprisoning people has increased 400% since 1980. Since technology has made DNA testing more readily available to prove guilt, 4% of those people have been released from death row and proven to be innocent. They and their families have been given little information on why they were wrongly convicted. The best answer available is that there was likely prosecutorial misconduct. Judges and state prosecutors were said to have been overloaded and convicted people on false and forced testimonies just to have the case closed. The main concerns are that innocent people may be killed due to mental illness, that there was a racial bias, or any misrepresentation for the accused. It actually costs more to have people on death row rather than to have them in prison for life without the possibility of parole. The state of California alone would save approximately $150 million per year if they abolished the death penalty. The LA Times estimated in 2011 that it cost $24 million per execution if you consider the cost of trial, pre-trial, automatic appeals, petitions, federal appeals, and the cost of incarceration itself. According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report in 2016, the South had the highest murder rate in the United States. They also reported that 80% of the country's executions are in the South. This proves that capital punishment is not an effective deterrent for criminals. If anything, the death penalty is another way for murder-suicide by trial to be added to the estimated 1,500 people who die each year of killing themselves after they've killed someone else. Violence covers the news. Another school shooting, domestic violence, terror attacks, our servicemen and women being killed while on duty. Following the report of how many casualties in each tragedy, all too often we hear that the suspect took his or her own life before being apprehended by authorities. These are angry and vengeful people who would rather die than be brought to jail. While this is not the case for every murder committed, it goes to show that for some, death is the easy way out. By allowing people the possibility that it could be just a sentence of 5 years and then death sounds a lot quicker than 40, 60, or 80 years in a cell to reflect and pay the debt they owe to society. The argument that we want these criminals to have a humane death, while contradictory, is not always proven to be the case. Deathpenalty.org states that since capital punishment began being monitored in 1890, 276 executions have been botched. 7% of all lethal injections had something go wrong with them. Because of malnutrition or disease, most inmates have small veins, and phlebotomists have issues finding a vein to administer the drugs. They could spend hours poking the inmate to find a viable one. This is torture. In states where lethal injection is legal, they use a combination of 3 drugs: a sedative, a drug to relax the muscles, and a final drug to kill the inmate. The effectiveness of the sedative has recently come into question. There's no way to tell how much of the second 2 drugs this person feels, and therefore if it's in fact humane. There have been cases where the drug had not been administered properly, and the patient had had their organs shut down, and they felt each and every one, gasping for air for over an hour. We are human. Humans make mistakes, and as long as capital punishment is being carried out at the hand of human beings, there will be mistakes that will cause unnecessary pain and suffering. A life for a life will be paid, but it must be humane, effective, costly, and a sure way for these criminals to pay for what they have done.